Saw a girl quit on the spot at Domino's. I went to Domino's before the Super Bowl to get a couple of things for the game tonight. I walked in and they were already announcing that wait times for carry-out pizzas were going to be close to 3 hours. Luckily, I had already ordered and it was to be ready before the game. The workers there looked tired and run down. I saw one girl go over to the manager and ask for a break and the manager said no, and this girl looked so heartbroken. She walked into the back and started answering phones so she didn't have to see anybody up front. A few minutes later she comes back out and talks with another coworker and starts complaining about the situation, saying it had been several hours since she had any break, and says, "Are they just asking me to quit?" The manager hears this and turns around and says, "You knew the break times when you signed up for the job. I don't have time for this. If you want to leave, then leave." The girl takes off her apron and leaves it right there on the floor and says, "Thanks guys," and walks out the back. It was brilliant and invigorating. I love to see it. While at first I was thinking, yeah, stick it to the manager. I then realized the manager probably hasn't had a break in a while either and makes maybe $2 more an hour than the worker. I left feeling bad for both of them. Edit. I no longer feel bad for the manager. I literally just quit my job at Domino's 2 days ago. The boss, Lolly Jones, owns the Sherwood and Lake Oswego store in OR. Stole our sick time and gave my hours away when I started whistleblowing. This lady wouldn't even get us cups for water so we could stay hydrated on our shift and took away our employee discounts. The best part is she's on the national commercial for Domino's so you all can see what a money-hungry asshole looks like. Edit. Post explaining more of the backstory. When I was working at Domino's in college during the Super Bowl, one of our 2 ovens caught fire and the hood was broken. The store filled with smoke and the owner drove in and forced everyone to keep working. I felt so sorry for the insiders. At least I could just grab orders and go. I have no doubt this was illegal, but I could see how much pressure the GM was already under, as he would frequently clock out drivers during slow periods to save a few cents on labor costs, etc. Ruthless-ing bunch many of these franchisees are. I was a manager in pizza before for $12.00 per hour with the promise to move to $14 after I was fully trained in my duties. The kids loved my shifts. "You're hungry, made a pizza. We are slow, no worries, stock your station then go. Take breaks a few at a time. We're busy and you need a break, no worries, I'll work your station and run you a break. No food at home for the siblings, make 2XLs, thanks for closing." I never yelled, and when guests tried to yell at my kids I would take over and most of the time tell them to leave the building. I ended up quitting over not getting the extra money. All of the employees were very sad when I quit because I was the only person who looked at that place for what it was. My motto was, and is fuck being stressed over this, I don't make enough to care. Crazy part 1 ran the best shifts per the numbers at the store because all of my workers gave me 100% because I always had their back. IDK how PPL become these bad managers. We were all that kid once who hated PPL like that over us. Why become them? I'll never understand it. Quitting on the spot is tempting in this kind of situation. However, here is a little trick that I used at a lot of places I worked for in the past, and it worked all the time. Probably works better if you are a hard worker though. If you need a break but your boss doesn't want you to, look at him, her and drop a little, haha. Then you turn around and say, "I'll be back in 5-10 minutes. If they want to fire you after that, it doesn't matter since you would have still quit anyway. If they start threatening you, don't look back and laugh it off and continue to walk away. Don't argue with them. Just go take a break and come back slightly more refreshed. Once work is over, start looking for a new job." I worked at Domino's a long time ago. Not only did they not pay us if there was extra work at the end of the night, but they allowed me to be sexually harassed by other staff and threatened with a gun on deliveries. This is Australia. Being threatened with a gun almost never happens. Without any attempts to make things safer for us. They also sent me to the hospital by making me work burning off the oil in the pans. I'm so glad I left when I did. Does it seem weird to anyone else that Domino's has established that $3 is the appropriate tip amount for a delivery? Manager probably hadn't had a break and was tired too. But you know what he should have said? Fuck the customers. Take a break. They all get paid by the hour. And the food will be done when it's done. Customers don't like it, then they can go buy pizza from another place. I know it is common in food service to skip breaks and meal times. But it shouldn't be. Employees do not work at peak performance when they are tired and hungry. I worked at Domino's for a year and a half. They cut my hours to the bare minimum of my contract. 30 plus hours to 14. When I called them on illegally changing my shifts the day of with no notice. Scumbag manager told me it was fine because he did it to everyone and told me to take a delivery. Sent him a screenshot of the Fair Work Ombudsman. He called me over dramatic and then left me on read. Texted the other manager 3 weeks later when it happened again, please don't change my shifts without asking me, and I got to work and was torn into, don't ever talk to me or another manager like that again. Handed in my 2 weeks notice that night, written in a, sorry for your loss, my condolences, greeting card. They also never gave me my legally entitled 10-minute paid breaks. And they made me sign away my overtime every shift. Fuck you, Tim and Lockie. I would have given her my information to use me as a witness that the manager told her she was allowed to go to work tomorrow or for your next scheduled shift. And if they say you quit or were fired, then file for unemployment. She could then use me as a witness that she did not quit. And, in fact, was allowed to leave early. Neutral third-party witnesses are money. At least from my years of watching the People's Court. That's the case. Open mouth smile. Good for her. What a bad manager. You make things work and get breaks for people. I remember one time when I worked at this bakery and we were slammed. I got through it and was supposed to be out at 2 o'clock. It was 2:30 and I was all right, am I good to go now? I worked past my time and my coworker from my second job passed away a couple days ago and I'm going to his service. He looks me dead in the face and says, suck it up. When my dad died I had to miss her funeral and work. I walked right out and didn't say a word to him. If that was me now I would have stood up for myself. But don't take shit from no one. He was a disgusting human. Such a piece of fucking shit. Don't feel bad for someone in a higher position who doesn't teach those around them to band together and fight for their rights. Instead they push the BS Domino's breaks contract, which asks new employees to give up their breaks. They are part of the problem, and if they suffer from it, then that is their choice. Just like they expect their employees to give up their rights to breaks. Problems will only persist until the real issue is addressed. I worked at Domino's for about 3 months, didn't get a single break, ghosted that job one day. What the ruling class forgot is that you need your surf class to have some hope left if you want to really abuse them. Millennials still had some. Growing up in the 90s we saw how things could be. Gen Z has just decided that they are fucked regardless. There's no hope. We need to get rid of these franchise pizza places when there are so many locals who deserve it more. Don't kid yourself, managers at Domino's make more than just $2 more. My old manager made enough to buy a brand new Escalade and bragged about it constantly even though She was only there 2 days a week. They had the balls to ask me to deliver pizzas when my brakes were literally burning and smoking in the parking lot. They don't give a damn about their workers. Fuck that manager. Instead of cracking the whip at his employees, he should fucking quit too. I got myself fired because they kept clocking me out early, making me do extra work, working 7 days in a row. I sent a report to the labor department. I worked at Domino's in college as a delivery driver, and it was miserable. I shared a car with my then GF, so my schedule determined when she had the car. I made it pretty clear to them if I had the day off, I would not have a car available to pick up shifts. Well, I lived in a college town in Tien and happened to get lucky and get a game day off. No clue what game or who was playing other than a Tien team. My GF had a friend come over who lived a few hours away, and it had been a while since they'd seen each other. They call me around noon and ask me if I can come in as they're short-handed, and I tell them I can't deliver on foot. Couple hours later they call again. This time they ask if I could come in to work in store. I tell them I doubt it and ended the call with them asking for me to find a ride. I thought about it for a few and decided it was time to drink. Sure enough, they called me a little while later. Shockingly, they didn't press after I mentioned drinking, but they did fire me for not picking up the shift. Something about not being a team player when they needed me. My GF appreciated me not running off to work. Overall a net win, since I married her and Domino's still tastes like garbage while exploiting workers. Oh, and they paid me $4.25 per hour plus tips, which in rural Tien barely made it past gas money. Former Domino's employee here, lead assistant manager, was friends with my GM. I worked at 3 different stores over 3 years. I know all the ins and outs of this godforsaken company. God bless the soul of this lady who walked out. Man, I should have mustered the courage to do the same thing when I was getting mistreated by customers in my company on a nightly basis. I used to make $1 more than my coworkers despite doing much more work than them. However, that is not a knock on my former underlings. They were great and always tried their best. I hardly ever got a proper break working at Domino's for 3 years. They keep their break violations on lockdown. CA requires a 30 minutes break every 6 hours. Because I always work dinner rush and not hit my 6, I would typically just clock out and work through my break for free. I also never saw my 15-minute paid breaks. Now that I work for a semi-good company where I'm treated way better, that just seems ludicrous to me. There were also several times over my Domino's career that I literally froze up from not knowing what to do. I would have countless orders to be made on screen, a dozen angry, hungry customers in the lobby, the phones ringing off the charts, and the oven crashing from all the food spilling out. This was because of understaffing, which has obviously caused my horrible pay. I was saved several times by my veteran drivers, or pure luck that people wanted to cancel. I wish to never experience stress levels of that nature ever again, at least in my job. And I can't even imagine how it is for people in other states, because at least California has increased their minimum wage over the years. $15 is still not much for the work required. Domino's ate me alive for years, and I'm proud to see people waking up to the fact this company is downright awful to their employees. It destroyed my mental health, and thanks to my new job, medication, and my support system, I am now rebuilding myself. Jeff Corlew and Molly Rao ran our stores. They co-own many stores in the greater Sacramento area. They were typically kind when you would see them in person, but deep down I believe they are truly greedy and do not care about their employees. I'm a Domino's veteran. I love the pizza. It's amazing and I still eat it. However, that manager is 100% an asshole. He's in charge of scheduling, hiring, and overall worker logistics. He should have anticipated this and brought on more help. Obviously, unless they have a worker shortage. But 3 hours for a pizza is extreme, and I've worked plenty of Super Bowls. The only time I remember being unreasonably swamped is when our state team was in the Super Bowl. This just sounds like mismanagement.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.